Women's rights are under threat.
They can't find a man they trust to take care of them.
No.
Afghan women weren't just gifted their rights by the West.
I'll tell you, if I was a woman, I don't want to. Wow, I'm ready, darling, let's go.
hijab در قدم اول خانه‌اش معلوم گردد و تنبیه گردد.
The Muslim majority is getting increasingly strong. So in the UK, conversion to Islam amongst women is double that of men. In America, it's 4 times as much.
Islam says that women should wear hijab. Isn't this?
I also completed my master's degree. A few years ago, I authored a book called Khadija, Islam's First Lady.
When you look at history, what difference do you see when you compare the value of women in the world with the value given by Islam?
So many of the rights that we see that women in the West enjoy, or women enjoy in general nowadays, were only very recently given to women, especially in Europe and America. If you look at what the feminists were fighting for, often it was basic things. So a woman in Britain, for example, did not have a legal entity. She was not a legal entity. Her identity, her kind of standing as an individual was tied to her husband's. So she couldn't even petition the court. She couldn't go to a court, right? Because she didn't exist in law in a way, right? Women in Britain, for example, didn't have property rights. This is why when you read books like, Jane Austen's novels, you see that women, the men always wanted to try to marry a woman who's going to have a big inheritance. Because if he marries her, all the wealth that she inherits will actually go straight to her husband, right? So because women didn't have the right to own property. This seems like a shock to us, Muslims, when we hear it, because we're so used to being told that we're backward and that women in the West are so ahead. But actually, even Cambridge University, Oxford University only allowed women through their doors about 100 or so years ago. And even then, they wouldn't allow them to have degrees. They could only come and sit in the lectures. And then slowly, they started to allow them to even have degrees. We as Muslims have the opposite history.